Assemblies of Councillor as required under the Local Government Act.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councillor Petrucci. Any objections? Questions? No questions?
Not questions. When you go, just.
So let me.
Sorry,
okay. So you wish to speak
yes,
to this? Thank you. Speak to it, Councillor.
We do a lot of work as councillors, and this Assembly of Councillors has just a brief list of the work that we do. And I just want to acknowledge that we are a good working council, and that we meet every Tuesday to discuss these matters. You can see by the list, and I think it's a good achievement for us to do that. And the public needs to be aware that we do work very well together as councillors to achieve the community goals in our council plan. And this Assembly of Councillors shows that.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to? That being the case, I declare it carried. Thank you. We're now getting into the meaty bits of our decision making, and the first one is appointments to special committees of council. And we have a report before us. Do we have a recommendation? Do we have a motion? How are you doing today?
Sorry, now just jump in and remind you that I do have a conflict of interest on this matter, due to my husband being an office bearer on the Tarradale Hall Committee, which is one of the committees being appointed tonight.
Thank you. Okay, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it as printed.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Neiman. Is there any opposition? Councillor Gardner, do you wish to speak to this?
Oh, look, just briefly, I think these committees, I think we as council approve these committees, but I think really we need to recognise and respect that the people who put their hand up to serve on these committees, it does entail work, and they do meet monthly, and I think it's just worthwhile that we recognise that they are making a commitment to not only council but to their local community.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Newman, do you wish to speak? No? Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Petrucci.
Yeah, just briefly, just wanted to note that on the Campbell's Creek Recreation Reserve that we've got the football club hasn't been represented recently, and we've got a couple of new representatives taking on the role for the Campbell's Creek Football Club who are playing again this season. I just want to thank them for putting their hands up and acknowledge those that went before them.
Thank you. Anyone else? That being the case, I declare is carried, and with a great deal of thanks to everyone who is on this list for the work they have done and the work they are undertaken to do. Don't know quite how we manage without them. Moving now to formalising management of Crown land at Stanley Park Harcourt, which sounds like a big mouthful, but this is actually quite important for us to do. So, do I have a mover of this? Councillor Cordy, and a seconder, Councillor Petrucci. Any opposition? Councillor Cordy, do you wish to speak to this?
Thanks, Mayor. Just briefly, with regards to Stanley Park, there's been, because of the way the road's been changed around in my lifetime, when I was much younger, there was a new bridge built at Harcourt on the northern side of Harcourt, and actually the Calder Highway used to run along High Street, Harcourt, in front of the post office. And when I was probably still at primary school, that was changed, and what we now know as Harmony Way was created, and that actually significantly Stanley Park was chopped around, but all these changes in traffic resulted in fragmentation of the land, and certainly the control of the land is a lot of it's been a road reserve, and then there's a memorial park there as well, and it is a very high value location in the community, and I'm really pleased to see that with what is proposed here, that the Stanley Park will formally come under the control of council, and it's been a quite a substantial process. I'd like to acknowledge the work of our staff in sorting this out. There were others that their predecessors thought it couldn't be done, but the team in place currently is achieving really great things in this regard, so I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Patrizzi, would you like to speak?
Just very briefly, I endorse what Councillor Cordy said, and just in fairly simple terms, the Stanley Park is also where the proposed future playground will be, and basically there's a road reserve through a fair portion of it, which means nothing can happen with that land whilst it's still a road reserve. So it's there's certainly never going to be a road there, and this is just formalising that those road reserves will be closed, and it will go back to being actual proper parkland, which is its purpose at the moment, but legally it's still a road reserve. So it's just formalising it so we can move ahead with Stanley Park.
Thank you. So anyone else who wishes to speak? That being the case, I declare the matter carried. Thank you for that. And I think this is part of the great developments that are happening at Harcourt, which we've got officers who are out in the Harcourt community significantly at the moment as part of Plan Harcourt, which is looking at how that community wants that community to grow, because it's an identified growth area. And this is an important part of all that's happening there, and I congratulate, I really endorse Councillor Cordy's comments about all the hard work that our staff are doing there. Thank you. Well, that was exciting. That was our two main meaty bits done. Thank you very much. So we have delegates' reports. Now, before the CEO and I table our delegates' reports, does anyone else want to?
Oh, I had a brief one. I was invited to Malden Primary School prior to Christmas to talk to the grade 2-3 kids, and they had been doing a project during school hours on council and what they would like to see in Malden to make it a better place. They had some really good ideas, and some of them were very imaginative, and it was really great to hear them. I mean, some things they were talking about was multifunctional ovals. They wanted a haunted house, full improvements, a big banana, which is my favourite, at the entrance of Malden, but I'm not sure my constituents would be too pleased about a big banana as they drive into the heritage. But I actually think it's a great idea. A new park, skate parks, a robot factory. Someone wanted their road graded, so I'm sure we can maybe have a I know the family, so yes, it's starting early. And a pony club. So there, it was really good, and it was good to see the school was doing such activities, and I suppose if I could request that either the Mayor or CEO write back and acknowledge their projects, and thank them for their time. And I do like big banana.
Thank you. Thanks very much for that. I think it's entirely appropriate that we do write and say thank you, and thank you for reporting that. So we'll undertake that activity. Thank you. Thanks for that. Big banana. I'm going to imagine that every time I drive in. Councillor Lesser.
Yes, ma'am. I've had a couple of brief meetings. I had a meeting with one of the board members, who's the community board member of the VLGA, a few weeks ago, about the project, local government project that we want to get their support from, and that person is taking it back to the board, and we may have an invite, the CEO and myself, to go down and talk to the board of the VLGA regarding our project.
Details of your project, or is this a secret?
It's the Councillor Pegg project about introducing local government into schools and into the community. also had a meeting with the Lions Club, who've endorsed the two projects that I'm working with on the local government and the Early Years Plus plan. And so that is looking really promising, and there's a couple of other items that will be coming up that I can mention, but yes, this is our Council Peak project, which you'll get a briefing in a week's time.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lesser. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment? Make a delegate's report? No? Well, in which case it's our turn. So we have tabled meetings attended by the CEO and Mayor from the 19th of December to today, and I congratulate the CEO with all sincerity. We often make a joke about who's done the most, and he's definitely done the most. But in all sincerity, he's done a heck of a lot. He's keeping things going that are really difficult, and things are happening because of that dedication to keeping relationships and projects underway, and I thank him. So, Chief, where do you want to start?
Thanks very much for that, Mayor. I'll mention a couple, and I hope I don't happen to mention the same ones you were keen to talk about. One of them, the Newstead District Swimming Pool, where you and I attended a bit of a celebration and a thank you for the former Newstead Pool Committee, who just recently handed over the reins, I guess, to the YMCA to handle the day-to-day operations of that pool, and that was not an easy thing for the committee to do. 60 years they've been running that pool for their community and doing an amazing job of it, Mayor, and it was just terrific to hear that, having made that decision, that the work that they'd done along with the YMCA, along with our staff, to come together to find a way of making it perhaps even better than it's been before, because the committee, now that it's been freed up of its operational responsibilities for making sure that people are safe inside the pool and making sure that the water's right and all the things that you have to do from a legislative point of view, now have the time to actually create more activity at the pool and have more events that they can really get into. So it seems to be one of those situations now where it didn't feel like it was going to be a good thing for them to start with, but certainly the way that this season has kicked off, it seems to be a fantastic result for everybody. So I wanted to mention that one there. And the other one I thought I'd mention was the Loddon Campaspe Mayors and CEOs meeting, which is of course the 6 councils from the Loddon Campaspe region, and more recently the Hepburn Shire has expressed very keen interest to be a part of our group, because they see the strategic alignment with a lot of the things that are happening to the north. They are actually part of the Ballarat group of councils, but they also see value in working closely with us. So there was a recent meeting of the mayors and CEOs, and that happens every 6 weeks or so. And that one was here. We were the hosts this time. We held that up at Buda. Mayor, I think you did a fantastic job of explaining what this council has done in the way of the Timby project, which is of course the This Is My Building project, which is helping to decide priorities for investment, particularly in relation to community buildings, as well as the principles that you've recently come to apply to recreation facility decisions. I think fair to say that caused a lot of discussion amongst the member councils of that group, and we're still getting information out to them all as a result of that, because there was such interest and such keenness to see how you've done what you've done. So I thought that was terrific. We also, Mayor, got to meet the new Minister for Local Government, who made the effort to come along to our meeting, which was a terrific offer by him. We asked him to do it, and he agreed to come out and speak with us. He was incredibly generous with his time. About an hour and a quarter, I think, he spent with us. His mind just couldn't drag him away. He was very much engaged in the discussion, and as he said, he's got a lot to learn about local government, but he was very much wanting to learn about local government. I thought that was terrific of him to do that. I understand he's making the effort to go around the 17 councils who have been identified as sustainably vulnerable from a sustainability perspective, financial sustainability that is. Does not include us, but there are in this region, some in this region who are included on that list. It was terrific that he's also making that effort. That was his, I think he said that was his priority, Mayor, to first get out to the rural councils and understand, particularly those ones who are struggling most, what's going on for them, and to start to understand how he might be able to make a difference as our minister. So I thought that was a terrific session with the minister there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to mention the launch of the Castlemaine Takes Pride strategy, which was a result of partnership between Castlemaine District Community Health, Castlemaine Community House and us, and the amount of work that went into that. It was launched very successfully at the Theatre Royal. I've actually got strategy envy. It was a very, very simple, easy to read strategy. It was about 3 or 4 pages long, and I think that's wonderful, not a weasel word in it. I think that's a huge step up from where we were 18 months ago, and I'm really, really pleased to see that that's working well. And the only other thing I'd like to mention is waste. So I'm a delegate for the Loddon Mallee Waste and Resource Recovery Group, and we are really starting to hone in on what should we be expecting the state and federal governments to be doing that we really can't do at the local government level. And I think it's important to state very clearly right here and now that the current crisis for some councils in who's taking our recyclables is not an issue for this council at the moment. So please keep doing your recycling. But there's still an awful lot of work to do to prevent material coming to us that we have to recycle, to get the markets right. Excuse me. And so there's still a lot of work, and we as councils and as groups of councils have got a lot of advocacy to do on this. And I think that's all. Okay, there being no notice, no.
Just a question then.
Yep.
From one of these. I just wanted to ask, actually, I think it's the CEO's meeting with Senior Sergeant Peter Carey to discuss the opportunity to establish a local community safety committee with Lisa Knight from I'd like to know a bit more about that, if possible.
Sure. That was an initiative of Peter Carey. He was very interested to see whether there was an opportunity for us to start to develop a group that could talk about public safety, and so this is specifically whether there was any need to do any work to maintain and or improve safety for people in our community in public places. So it's early days on that discussion. Lisa and her team have been doing a heap of work on if we were to form a group, how that structure might work, and we're just working through that at the moment with Peter Carey, and we'll be looking to enlist some people from the community when the time is right, we hope. But a great initiative, I think, that we can all learn a bit from sitting around the table every 6 months or so and talking about how things are going and what we might be able to do together to make it better if there needs to be improvement.
Thanks.
For the CEO, on page 3, meeting with Don Coward to discuss matters of common interest. Was this before or after the ammonia leak?
It was. That particular meeting was after the ammonia leak, but it wasn't about the ammonia leak. We've got a very strong and building relationship with Don KR as it relates to they are our biggest employer in the Shire, and we need to understand what their business is about better than what we do at the moment. And equally, they are very eager as a business to become more involved in this community than they have been in the past. So we meet with one of their executives, myself and David Leatham, our Manager of Economy and Culture. We meet with that executive every 6 weeks or so to talk about what the opportunities are for us, and then to do more together and to keep building our understanding of what each other is about. So yes, coincident to the ammonia incident, notwithstanding that there has been many discussions between parties about the ammonia incident, and certainly an emergency management level for the region. There's been discussions about what are the things that many parties may have to do differently as a result of learning a bit more about the size of the ammonia that's handled up at Don KR and what can go wrong if, when it does go wrong. So, no, coincident to that, but if I may, Mayor, it does remind me that we have all staff meetings every 6 to 8 weeks thereabouts, and Don KR was really eager to come down and say thank you to our staff for the work that they did to assist Don KR when they had to evacuate about 600 people, I think, in the end. And we opened up the town hall to assist those people, so about half a dozen of our staff worked through the night to make sure that they were as comfortable as could be on a shocking night, and were well looked after and away from the danger. So it was very nice for Don KR to do that, and came along and told us a bit more about their business as well at the same time.
Councillor Lesser.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. No, I'm not in the same class as the CEO and yourself, but I noticed on this report that my name is mentioned twice. So I've got... yes, absolutely. And I think it's worth reporting on a couple of them because that has large ramifications for our Shire. Okay, you'll notice there on page 1 we did meet, the CEO and I did meet with Jan Barrett from the MAV regarding our project, our Council PEG project to promote local government in Victoria, and we heard back that they were quite happy with their content and what we were trying to do, and they're making some decisions, I think, still about whether they want to go individually or what sort of a process they want. But that was very promising, and so we have very much taken that to heart, that they had seen it was based on one of their productions, so we're hoping to get some endorsement. And I noticed again on the last page that we had a meeting, the CEO and myself, with Councillor Rod Fife from the greater city of Bendigo regarding our project, the Council PEG project. And I have to report, which is quite exciting, that I got a phone call from Councillor Fife last night that he is going to support the project in the Bendigo. So our local government project will end up in the schools around Bendigo with his support. So that's something that's really interesting, that it's moved out of, it's run away, Council PEG's taken off out of the Shire. But yes, it's a bit of fun, but it's going to put us on the map.
Thank you, Councillor Lesser.
So I've got my name twice.
Well done. Anyone else? So there's no... Okay. No one else? No? Okay. No notices of motion, no urgent special business. I declare the meeting closed at 7:07.